So today, I want to talk about a few situations my clients have encountered where I have encouraged them to not move their 401k to let me manage, which has resulted in me making less money as their financial advisor, but it was the best advice that it was in their best interest. If you have worked in a company long enough before changing jobs and have accumulated some money in your 401k, you may consider moving your money to a traditional or a Roth IRA. But should you? You may hear this suggestion from your financial advisor, but if you aren't fully aware of the potential consequences of moving money out of your 401k, you may put yourself in a position where your financial options are more limited and your outcome is not what you originally hoped for. So we'll cover situations ranging from a younger, divorced single mother getting back on her feet, to empty nesters wanting to prepare for retirement, early retirees wanting to avoid a 10% early withdrawal penalty, and a retired Asian immigrant looking to maximize investment growth while staying relatively stable. So watch through this video to the end, because if one of these situations is similar to yours, you may want to think twice before agreeing to move your money to an IRA and potentially let your financial advisor manage it. So first, we have a divorced nurse and single mom trying to get back on her feet after her divorce. She suffers from a few chronic health conditions that make work difficult and cost a lot in medical expenses, making her income and expenses more unpredictable. There was a 401k that she received from her ex-husband with about $50,000 in it. We want to put her in a position where she has the option to access her funds when her finances are unstable. We did transfer the investment accounts from her ex-husband's financial advisor for me to manage because it was managed poorly and there were many administrative mistakes that I discovered. But for her ex-husband's 401k, I did tell her to leave it where it is, because with that being from a divorce, the tax rule gives her the ability to withdraw from her ex-husband's 401k account without early withdrawal penalties. There's no time limit for when this flexible benefit will expire either. So now my client has $50,000 from her ex's 401k that she can access at any time in an absolute emergency without worrying about an early withdrawal penalty. This extra stability is necessary considering how unstable her financial situation can be. If she transferred the 401k to an IRA for me to manage, she would have to pay an early withdrawal penalty of 10% and pay income taxes each time that she pulled money out before 59.5. For the second case, we have a high-income, mixed-race couple and empty nesters who wanted to plan for their own retirement and have a lot of different 401ks and IRAs at many different financial firms. They have a long investment time horizon because they plan to work for a minimum of 15 more years, because they love what they do as an attorney and university professor. They want to simplify their finances and maximize their contributions into their tax advantage investment retirement accounts. So instead of consolidating all of the old IRAs and 401ks into an IRA with me, I recommended a reverse rollover of their IRA into their current 401k plan so they can implement a backdoor Roth IRA strategy to avoid triggering something called the pro rata rule, which would force them to pay unnecessary taxes. Because they no longer have IRA accounts that the IRS will track, they can execute and contribute more to a backdoor Roth IRA despite being high-income earners, and save an additional $7,500 each year for each of them, with the catch-up contribution of $1,000 each. And this money will go into an investment account that will grow tax-free, that would otherwise have to go into a taxable account. And when their children eventually inherit their accounts, the inherited Roth IRA account distributions will remain tax-free as well. And third, we have a Filipino immigrant couple in their mid-50s and have over $2 million saved up in various retirement accounts. But there was a problem, because most of their money was locked up in 401k and IRA accounts, and they would have to pay a 10% early withdrawal penalty if they pulled out from their retirement accounts before 59.5. Now, they would obviously like the option to retire before 59.5 and still avoid paying the 10% penalty. So I encourage them to keep their 401k where it is because of a specific 401k rule called the Rule of 55, where if you are over 55 years old when you quit, you can pull money out penalty-free from the 401k plan of the employer you quit from. Keep in mind that this only applies to the 401k of the current employer and not from former employer plans or from IRAs. Because he just started working at his company a few years ago, his 401k balance is still pretty small. A workaround is to roll over an old 401k plan from a former employer into his current employer's plan before retiring. And the benefit of the rule of age 55 now applies to the full account balance that includes the current 401k plan, which is still pretty small, and his former 401k plan, which is a lot larger. It meant that if my client were to retire, they could choose to do so anytime between 55 and 59 and a half and avoid paying the 10% early withdrawal penalty because he has such a large 401k to draw from. For the fourth and final case, despite not making too much money after immigrating, this retired Chinese immigrant managed to save up a decent amount in her 403b from being frugal and always maximizing the annual 403b contributions. She also had some taxable savings from the sale of real estate that she owned. She has a stable value fund in her 403b, which was earning for a guaranteed fixed 4% annual growth rate. And this was at a time when interest rates were still very low, so we wanted to get the most out of the stable value fund. I suggested for her to keep her 403b where it was and invest all of it in the stable value fund. And to make sure she wasn't being too conservative with all of her money and limiting herself to just a 4% rate of return, I treated her taxable investments and 403b as one pile of money when designing the investment mix. So we came to a mix of 60% in stocks and the rest of the 40% in the stable value fund and some bond funds. Since the stable value fund made up about 20% of her total investment balance, it meant that if she had $100, it would be split up in the following way. $20 would be split up into the stable value fund, all in her 403b, and then in the taxable account, $20 would be in various bond funds, with the rest of the $60 be used to buy globally diversified and low-cost stock funds. So now a core portion of her portfolio is earning 4% guaranteed and acts as a stabilizer against market ups and downs. And the rest was focused on growth. So that wraps up my video today. And hopefully from learning from these 4 situations, you will at least see that it's worth pausing and taking a step back, because there may be some situations where keeping your 401k exactly where it is would be in your best interest. Now keep in mind that this video is for educational purposes only, and the specific recommendations were made after careful consideration of my client's personal circumstances. If you are looking for personalized guidance on what to do with your 401k or 403b from a fiduciary who has your best interests at heart, then you can reach out to me by checking out CoPlanningGroup.com and schedule a free meeting. Thank you.